For the last couple of decades, one of the most widespread buzzwords is globalization. Some praise the idea, some decry it, and others may not have any strong feelings about the word one way or another. Of course, like many other words, it often takes on different meanings in different contexts or when used by different individuals. What cannot be debated, however, is the fact that Europe did not develop in isolation from the rest of the world. We have already seen that by the 16th century, European nations such as Spain and Portugal were at the forefront of colonizing the New World, and by the Enlightenment, European philosophers wrestled with the various implications of interacting with the world very different from the one they were familiar with. During the early modern era, food, raw materials, ideas, and peoples, both free and enslaved, crisscrossed global networks, shaping every inhabited continent in a variety of ways. Yet what happened in the late 19th century, as we enter what historians consider the modern age, was a virtual explosion of globalization through a process called imperialism. What is imperialism? A simple definition is that it is control of one group of people over others beyond their borders. Using this definition, we can see there have been many imperial powers across time and space. The Roman Empire, which dominated the Mediterranean world, the Mughal Empire in the Indian subcontinent, Imperial China in South and East Asia. The list goes on. Now, imperialism can take different forms, and imperial power can be exercised in a variety of ways, so no two empires function in the same way. A simple breakdown would be beneficent versus exploitative imperialism. Beneficent imperialism is where the imperial power often shares the advantages of empire with the conquered, and may even move toward a sharing of political rights. A good example of this brand of imperialism would be the Roman Empire, in which many of the conquered peoples ended up enjoying the economic, military, and political benefits of being a part of that great power. At the other end of the spectrum is exploitative imperialism, in which the imperial power uses the resources and peoples of other lands strictly for gain. And while no empire in history, except for maybe the first galactic empire, could be described as purely and completely exploitative, many, though not all, of the European empires of the late 19th century can be described as being further toward that end of the spectrum. As you will see in this lesson, the late 19th century witnessed an outburst of imperial activity by European peoples, and much of Africa and Asia ended up either directly or indirectly under European control or influence. Of course, since this is a history class, you have to ask, why? And as a historian, I have to answer, well, lots of different reasons, because there are very rarely simple answers. Historians over time have argued for a variety of motives for imperialism. Nationalism, of which you have already learned a great deal, could motivate the drive for empire as the nations of Europe competed for national advantage and sought pride and glory for their nation. Some historians see the imperialist drive resulting from the fact that in the late 19th century, Europe enjoyed a stable balance of power, so international competition shifted away from the continent to other parts of the world. In other words, Germany and France might not want to upset the stability of the continent, so they directed their competition with one another elsewhere. Some Europeans desired empire so they could share what they believed were the advantages of European civilization with others. This could be motivated by both religious and secular impulses, as you will see. Others believed in what is called social Darwinism, the idea that nations, like species, must struggle to survive. Enjoying success in the struggle for colonies around the globe could prove a nation's worth or fitness. Finally, it used to be argued that another possible motive was economic, in the sense that gaining colonies would give the imperial power direct access to natural resources. However, present-day historians and economists generally find this argument is not so strongly supported by the primary sources or by analysis of economic data, and so this is no longer considered as major a motivation as it once was. After all, it turns out that gaining and maintaining an empire was vastly more expensive than whatever direct economic benefits could be gained from having an empire. One thing I want you to keep in mind as you read your text is that these motivations did not exist in isolated silos. A resident of France or Germany or Belgium could support imperialism for more than one of these reasons. Someone could simultaneously want to spread the blessings of civilization, as they saw it, enhance national power and prestige, and ensure national fitness. But whatever the blend of motivations, it is clear that there was broad support among European peoples for empire building, and critics of imperialism were generally, though not always, ignored. So we've established the what and the why by defining imperialism and providing some of the motivations. But what about the consequences? For that and much more, you'll have to read chapter 22.